today from the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. And these are a list of teachings designed to help us awaken our true potential, and live lives that are more mindful and compassionate. That's the point of this. And this one is called Examining Your Confusion So That It May Be Dispelled. Examining your confusion so that it may be dispelled. And I'm going to read the verse and then I'm going to comment on it. When not examining one's own confusion, it is possible to have the appearance of a Dharma practitioner while doing what is not Dharma. Therefore, it's the practice of Bodhisattvas to relinquish their own confusion through continuously examining it. I'm going to read that again. When not examining one's own confusion, it is possible to have the appearance of a Dharma practitioner while doing what is not Dharma. Therefore, it's the practice of Bodhisattvas to relinquish their own confusion through continuously examining it. Now, Dharma is what we're talking about. It's the path to unleashing our potential. It's the path to being more mindful and compassionate. So basically, what the verse is saying is you can be doing all this stuff and not turning inward, not looking in, and so therefore you're not really doing it. We're talking about looking deep within ourselves. Once we reach a certain point in our meditation practice, we can't keep lying to ourselves about who we are anymore. We have to face ourselves with complete honesty, and that can be uncomfortable. Only then can we see things as they really are. So a lot of the time in life, we are letting ourselves get away with shit. We are making excuses for the things we do. Saying why it's okay for us to walk on others or whatever things we want to do that we know we shouldn't do. We make excuses for ourselves and we don't face our flaws very clearly a lot of the time. I like to say that we have either one mistaken view or another of ourselves. We either see ourselves as just the greatest and perfect, or we see ourselves as just the lowest and the worst. And many of us go between each one. Sometimes we think of ourselves here, and sometimes we think of ourselves here. Rarely do we have a clear picture, though. And so that's what this is about, really. It's about bringing the mindfulness we've been talking about, bringing our deep awareness to our own selves so that we know why we do the things we do. When we're making excuses, when we're confused, when we're struggling. So we stop sleepwalking through life. We have to really examine ourselves, and that's what this is about. This is about being fully honest with yourself and really honest with others as well. It's about being fully genuine. I like to say that. It's about being fully genuine. What is Buddhism about? It's about being real. Being real, learning how to be more and more real. And we need to look within and see if we're doing what we need to do. Look within and see if we're doing what we need to do instead of looking outward to see what others are doing all the time. We have a big habit of that, like noticing what other people are doing and not paying attention to ourselves. I have one of my kids tries to tell on other kids, tries to catch them doing things, and that's looking outward. That's not looking within and noticing when he's got his own issues. It's rather just looking outward and seeing what other people are doing and thinking, oh, they're getting away with something. Not realizing, I get away with stuff too. Everybody gets away with stuff. And if we're not really paying attention to what we're doing and we're not really trying to understand why we're doing it, then we're probably not really trying that hard. So, one thing to really pay attention to is, what are my faults? What are my faults? In another text called Way of the Bodhisattva, It says, checking at all times what am I doing? In this way should I examine my faults. So I think we need to just deeply pay attention to what are the areas I struggle in? What are the areas I struggle in? Where am I confused? Where do I miss the point of life? Where do I get carried away by nonsense? What are those areas? And then we can further examine and try to figure out, okay, why? Why do I struggle in this area? What can I do to avoid that? Why do I not struggle in this other area? Especially if you've got an area you don't struggle in, a lot of other people do. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about really examining ourselves and our flaws, which is very hard because we really don't want to. We really don't want to think about where we struggle. We want, well, not always, but a lot of the time, we want to focus on our strengths. Our strengths, and focusing on your strengths is good. Thinking positively is good, but also we have to be honest with ourselves about our weaknesses. That is what we are called to do. We are called to be honest with ourselves about our weaknesses because we have spent too much of our time, too much of our lives being dishonest with ourselves, hiding from our weaknesses and avoiding reality. And on this path, avoiding reality will not do. Avoiding reality will not do. It is time to stop avoiding reality, to stop lying to ourselves about who we are and what we're doing, and to just be real. To be real. And that's what we're called to do. And it's not easy and it doesn't come simply. And we can spend a lifetime really thinking, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? That's a big thing for me. I think it's for a lot of people. It's you do something without thinking about it. And then you're like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I take that action? And a lot of the time, we can't think of a reason. We just do things. We're just on autopilot and we do things. And that is a recipe for disaster. Because of that, we make all kinds of mistakes. It's really easy to make bad choices when we're not even paying attention to the choices, when we don't even feel like we're making choices, right? And we're not even paying attention to what's happening. Then it's very easy to make bad choices. Very, very easy. Very easy. So I think we need to think about our faults and we need to just acknowledge what we struggle with instead of hiding from it. Instead of hiding from it. Many years ago, when I was a teenager, one of my friends, many, many years ago, told me, "You're a bad driver." And the truth is, I am a bad driver. But I railed against that. I did not want to accept that I was a bad driver. I think you're a bad driver is a thing a lot of people don't want to accept. And I am. I was especially back then, but really now I don't think I'm the best driver. I'm careful, but um, man, I did not want to accept that. I got so upset. And why? Why, right? There's no consequences if you're a bad driver, but also I was not being real and honest with myself. And I was certainly not reflecting on what the person said, although I think she said it for essentially no reason. But can we reflect on things like that when someone says you're a bad driver? Can we just reflect and think, oh, am I a bad driver? Instead of lashing out, which is what we typically do. If someone criticizes us, even if it's true, we lash out. So I think about that too. I think about, can we stop lashing out all the time? So that's it for today. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I want you to think about your own faults and think about examining those and see if you can go deep, okay? All right, thank you. Have a good day.